Welcome to Pompano Park in Pompano Beach, Florida for the final event in the 1984 Breeders' Crown Series. It's the 3-year-old Colt Trot, and it's drawn a field of 17 fine young trotters to compete for this last event of the Breeders' Crown. Hi everybody, I'm Sharon Smith, and you'll be getting to see some very, very good trotters tonight. A field of 17 late in the season, but some of these very good colts are just coming into their own. With us again tonight is Kurt Green, General Manager of the Red Mile in Lexington, appropriately, where the series began in October, and he's with us to end the series tonight. This field is large not because there are a bunch of not-so-good horses, because there are so many good horses. Nobody's dominated so far.
Yes, Baltic Speed looked like the early season sensation before a pretty dismal performance in the Hambletonian. He still won $800,000. He's the leading money winner in the field. The field in total has won over $5 million among the 17 colts that are in here tonight. I think it's an outstanding group. Holy Arnie's fresh off a track record here 2 weeks ago. And why not, coming off a long layoff? Same with Baltic Speed. I think it'll be a very tough race tonight.
These colts are competing for a lot of money. Not only is there good prize money for the 2 elimination heats, but look at the purse money for the final. $418,000, the richest horse race ever in the state of Florida. $209,000 to the winner, all the way down to more than $20,000 for the 5th place horse. So this is important racing for these colts here tonight. 2 eliminations, we'll show them to you. We also will, of course, show you the final. And with us again tonight is Kenny Rice, who will be paddock side to take a look at these good horses. Kenny?
Thank you very much, Sharon. And in addition to the money, in addition to the wide open field, there is yet another interesting element in tonight's race, and that involves Speedy Scott, the 1963 Horse of the Year, one of only 6 trotters to win the Triple Crown. He stands at Castleton Farm in Lexington. His bloodline can be traced to all but 3 horses in tonight's race. 11 of those connections are on the male side. A little later on, we'll be talking with Mr. Fred Van Lennep, instrumental in this Breeders' Crown Series. He will be talking about the Crown, about Castleton Farm, and also about Speedy Scott. Sharon?
Well, Kenny, thank you. And there are just so many good horses tonight that we will get a chance to look at. Some really, really good 3-year-old trotters. And the horses are going to be using, interestingly, here at Pompano, a paddock that's normally used for quarter horses. There is a quarter horse meet here during the summer, and the harness meet is going on right now. They thought for the people to get a chance to look at these good horses, it would be nice to use the other smaller paddock for them. So the fans here and all of us will get a good chance to take a look at some very good-looking trotters tonight. Trotters as a group are a handsome group, and tonight especially there are some beautiful, beautiful-looking horses. So we have 2 eliminations and, of course, the final, and all that ahead right here on ESPN. The Breeders' Crown Series is brought to you by hard-working Chevy trucks. Nothing works like a Chevy truck. And by exceptionally smooth Michelob. Where you're going, it's Michelob. And by First Jersey Securities. Come grow with us. Breeders' Crown 1984, 8 races at 8 different tracks, opened October 5th at Lexington's Red Mile. The first event, the 2-year-old Colt Trot, and in the stretch of the final, the star was Workaholic.
And they're coming from everywhere. 5 across the racetrack. Inside Sven Hanover. Between them, Bond Sport. Here comes Workaholic, and he's trotting a storm on the outside. Workaholic on the outside, getting to the front. On the inside, Sven Hanover tries to fight him off. Closing also Ron B. Hanover. It's going to be Workaholic home for Bernie Lindstedt at 157-1. He has won the first leg of the Breeders' Crown Series.
It was on to Toronto 2 days later for the 2-year-old filly Trot, and there was a heavy favorite, unbeaten Davidia Hanover, one of the most accomplished 2-year-old trotting fillies ever. But it was not to be Davidia's night. She made a break early in the race, paving the way for a victory by another good filly. The winner, HANOVER, a daughter of Neville E. Diamond, trotting her way to a track record at Mohawk Raceway, a Breeders' Crown win, and a share of the $415,000 purse. The next event in the series was the 2-year-old Colt Pace at the Meadows, and the much-anticipated appearance of the unbeaten Nihilator, as well as local favorite Dragon's Lair. Nihilator won the first meeting of the 2 in the first heat, but Dragon's Lair turned the tables in the final.
Less than an 8. It's Dragon's Lair by 2.5. Here comes Nihilator and Broadway Express. Dragon's Lair, Nihilator, Dragon's Lair wins the Breeders' Crown. 154, 1/5, another world's record.
3-year-old Colt Pacers took part at Northlands Park in Edmonton for the richest race ever held in Canada. And the field included local favorite On the Road Again, as well as the Consistent Guts. But the Canadian-owned On the Road Again didn't have it that day, allowing the Most Happy Fellow Colt Troublemaker to pace to victory for driver Bill O'Donnell. He, too, set a new track record. It was on to Maywood near Chicago for 2-year-old filly Pacers. The race featured 2 stars and a future star. The 2 top choices, Steinem was one of them, always reliable and almost always in the money. Also getting support, world record holder Amneris, a first crop filly by Tyler B.
Turning for home. On the inside, it's Steinem. On the outside, here comes Amneris with a rush. On the far outside, it's Nantucket Lobell. It's still Nantucket on the inside. It's Steinem. It's those 3 at the wire. Amneris, Steinem, and Nantucket Lobell.
Only inches separated Amneris from runner-up Steinem, with the late developing Nantucket Lobell finishing well to be 3rd. There was certainly a standout in the 3-year-old filly Trot at Rosecroft Raceway near Washington. Multiple world record holder Fancy Crown, co-holder of the all-age and sex race record, was odds-on, and Fancy Crown raced that way. She trotted the fastest mile ever at Rosecroft and made herself a leading contender for Harness Horse of the Year with her Breeders' Crown victory. 4 world record holders showed up at Liberty Bell Park in Philadelphia for the 3-year-old filly Pace, at least 2 of them contenders for 3-year-old Pacing Filly of the Year. Honors went to Naughty But Nice. She's a Big Meadow Skipper filly who held off Hit Parade to win. Hit Parade was later placed last for interference against Don't Dally. Naughty But Nice sealed, perhaps, the divisional championship with her victory in the Breeders' Crown. Also, the winner's share of $465,000 for her owners.
Well, we're at Pompano tonight for the wrap-up of this series, and I think we can look forward to seeing the same kind of exciting action we've seen. I still get goosebumps watching Dragon's Lair in that race at the Meadows. That was terrific stuff.
So many exciting moments. Fancy Crown's record, all those records, and another one is still ahead. We'll see if it's a possibility tonight. We'll take a short time out, and then we'll meet a man who had a great deal to do with the success of the Breeders' Crown. Back to Pompano Park, where just a few minutes from now we'll be showing you the first elimination heat for tonight's 3-year-old Colt Trot, the final event in the Breeders' Crown Series. Obviously, it takes a lot of people to make a series like the Breeders' Crown successful, to make a successful operation out of a racetrack like Pompano Park, and make a success out of an important breeding farm. But in one case, there is one man particularly important in all of that, and here is Kenny Rice with a look at him.
Thank you very much, Sharon. And here in the paddock area, the Breeders' Crown horses are moving in. The man who came up with the ideal for the Breeders' Crown and has put it into effect has been a man who has contributed very much to the sport of harness racing. He is Fred Van Lennep, owner of Castleton Farm. And let's meet him now.
Well, I believe that the concept of the Breeders' Crown in bringing the breeders together, which is the first time we really come together completely, to sponsor a series of races and this idea of presenting the best horses throughout the country. I think this has achieved a great deal in bringing the industry and all phases of the sport together, not only the breeders, but the trainers and the drivers and the owners, because we have accomplished, I think, a great deal in presenting the best horses and the finest horses in various locations and giving the drivers and trainers and the public a chance to see the best horses and some of the horses to prove that they are the best horses, which they didn't have the opportunity before. Finally, I think that the exposure that we've been getting on the TV is the start of what I hope and always felt should be done, and that is that I want to somehow bring to the people of the country the fun and pleasure and interest in harness racing, to educate them through their own pictures at home, which I know they haven't been exposed to, and what I feel is one of the most interesting and vital sports and fun sports in the country. And if we do this, then I think we'll accomplish our purpose, and that's what we're going to do in the next few years.
1963, the Castleton Cannonball Speedy Scott won the Triple Crown. That was also the year Van Lennep built Pompano Park, providing horsemen with a winter racing and training facility. Many of the horses here now are progeny of the great stallions at Castleton.
Through its foundation sires, Speedy Scott, Race Time, and Brett Hanover, has influenced a great many of the winners that are now, that this year have become Breeders' Crown champions. Castleton, I think by its position in the breeding industry, has been able to get the breeders together and help promote the race, and this has been very beneficial to all of us. The Pompano, of course, came about as a means of having winter racing in Florida, and we started the track in 1963, and I think this is a great culmination of bringing back to Florida the best horses in the United States to race in this race tonight.
Van Lennep and his people are also planning for expansion in the 1985 Breeders' Crown Series.
We now anticipate that we will have a group of races for 4-year-olds and up. We think that the aged horses, as we grow into the program and we can get their stallions, progeny, the stallions will be nominated and their progeny will then be able to race in the age groups, and we think this will further promote the best horses to keep racing and not have so many horses retired from the track but go on and race throughout the country.
Well, Castleton's already been successful in the series. They, the owners or part owners of Hanover, the winning filly and the 2-year-old filly Trot, breeders of 3 of the horses in tonight's race, including Holy Arnie, who's going to be among the favorites. So big contributors to the sport.
Well, and certainly Mr. Van Lennep, who's been in the forefront of many movements in racing in his whole career, and you know, as a pioneer really in Florida, brought harness racing here where the thoroughbreds have operated successfully for many years. Obviously, Mr. Van Lennep's to be commended for his leadership in getting this series even off the ground.
Well, it's certainly been a success so far, and there's a wonderful race still ahead. In fact, 2 eliminations, and then the final of the final event in the Breeders' Crown Series, the 3-year-old Colt Trot. We're going to take a short time out, and then we'll be back with more, including elimination heat number 1 of the 3-year-old Colt Trot. Welcome back to Pompano Park. I'm Sharon Smith along with Kurt Green and Kenny Rice. Pompano Park, as you certainly know by now, is of course a racetrack. They'll be holding the 3-year-old Colt Trot of the Breeders' Crown in just a few moments. There's also a lot more going on here at Pompano Park. It's a location for an awful lot of good standard breds. And here's Kurt with a look at what goes on here.
Pompano Park was the first major racetrack in South Florida. It was also the first of what has developed into a booming industry, that's the training of young horses. There are 4 tracks here, including the main track, the 5/8 mile track, where horses race during the Pompano Park season. Across the road, more than 1,400 horses are stabled here in a large training complex that has 3 tracks of its own. It is home to 4 Breeders' Crown champions who took their early lessons here: Workaholic, Conifer, Amneris, and Naughty But Nice. A unique aspect of the Pompano Training Center is this swimming pool. This swimming pool is used by the horses for therapeutic purposes and offers them exercise without the pounding and day-to-day wear on the racetrack. The horses actually learn to love this. It's just like kids who like to jump in and out of a swimming pool. And it's very, very good work, and a horse in a couple of laps around the pool will get much more exercise than a 3- and 4-mile strenuous workout on the racetrack. Pompano Park, 4 racetracks, including the main track, and home to many, many world champions.
Hey, when you're in South Florida, you should go swimming. The horses get to do it as well. The first elimination is just ahead right here. Now, the big money, the $418,000, is for the final, but they're not racing for peanuts in this one either. $69,000, $34,000 to the winner, and of course the first 4 qualify. So there's a lot of money and a lot of important racing ahead. Time now for the first elimination.
We have 8 top 3-year-olds in this first elimination of the Breeders' Crown 3-year-old Colt Trot.
In fact, we've got an entry here who very impressive. Either one of the 2 we have to look at as a possible winner. Holy Arnie. Now, it's from the Bill Houghton stable, and Bill is driving this one himself. We look at this horse as one who either has a terrible disaster in a race or is magnificent. He doesn't seem to have any middle ground.
Yeah, Holy Arnie's name ought to be Holy Neurotic. He has exceptionally high speed. Very, very unmanageable at times, much like his own sire, as a matter of fact, who had the same kind of characteristics. They had an interesting story on this horse. They found a source of heat in a leg recently by using a heat-sensing device. They've treated that leg, and in these last 2 starts, he's been very impressive.
He was the horse you might remember he saw in the Hambletonian looking like he was going to win the first elimination when he broke stride. Jumps from the finish line. 1A, the other half of the entry, Gallant Pro, Bill O'Donnell in to drive this one, and you got to look at him as a possibility as well.
Here's a horse that's going forward at this point in the season. He showed as a 2-year-old last year that he had really good speed and high speed, but he made a lot of breaks. His last race is very impressive here in Pompano, 158-4, last quarter in 29-3, and he came from off the pace.
And we're also looking at number 6 in this race, ARMBRO Crouch, little gelding. Actually, he's not so little. Tough, well-built horse who is quite consistent, too.
This is a horse that we would equate with a halfback in football who has all of the fundamentals that he needs, but is not a breakaway threat. This horse just does not have a high flight of speed, but he's been 17 times in his last 24 starts. He's been first or second, or and only a couple times out of the money. So he's a very consistent, tough horse. If the early part of the speed is in this race, he can come get it on the end.
And you look at those shoulders and that neck, and he looks almost more like a fullback than a halfback.
Yeah, just not the breakaway threat. He's got everything he needs except that real strong finishing kick.
But it will set up kind of interestingly with the entry. Now the entry showing as the favorite, and well they should, as individuals they'd be among the favorites. But with the entry, you got the possibility of Holy Arnie with his early speed and Gallant Pro maybe laying a little bit off the pace.
Well, I think that's what, in fact, that's what will happen. There's only one way to race Holy Arnie, and that's just down the pike. I'm sure he'll be the horse that'll get the first call. And because if he doesn't, he just becomes unmanageable. And I think Gallant Pro will be forwardly placed. And why not is a question mark. He comes into the race off of 2 really dismal efforts.
But earlier this year he had some form, and he's a hard-working little animal.
And he's a horse that's won $700,000 lifetime, including $500,000 as a 2-year-old last year.
Well, it's hard to look past Holy Arnie, if only on the basis of his race last week here, or actually I think it was about 2 weeks ago here at Pompano when he set a track record, which is shows he can handle the track, certainly. Yes,
the only trotter who's been faster over this is, of course, the filly queen Fancy Crown, who trotted here in 157-4 to get her 3rd world record a week ago. So she's the only one faster than Holy Arnie over this track.
And that's pretty impressive company, being in her company for anybody. Anybody else that you would look at as a long shot possibility in this race?
Well, GIORGIO D is a horse who's been very well placed all season long. A very tough horse to win a race. In 21 starts, he's only won 1 race, but he's been 6 times second and 4 times third, and has won $165,000. And he gets John Campbell tonight, who drove him very successfully in Lexington. But he really hung on the money in both of his starts at Lexington. Those are both races he should have won.
And of course, this is the first elimination. The rest of the field in the second elimination, which has even perhaps more depth in terms of potential winners. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But it's time now, just about, for the first elimination for the 3-year-old Colt Trot in the Breeders' Crown. And the horses will line up right now. They're lining up behind the gate. As we see, Holy Arnie, with his little hood over his ears so he doesn't get upset by the noises. And we are lining up. We've got one straggler here, trying to get him up a little bit closer. And the horses are just about ready to be in the hands of the starter. So let us go now to track announcer Gary Seibel. Gary?
Thank you very much, Sharon. And now this field is in motion. And as they straighten out onto the backstretch, they'll all be on gate. First elimination division. And there they go. They're off and trotting on the inside. Limbo Joe gets the first call. Right alongside, it's Holy Arnie from the outside. ARMBRO Crouch driving up to challenge for the lead. Why Not now settles in 4th. Desert Ruler gets away 5th. Gallant Pro is 6th, followed by GIORGIO D. And the early trailer in the field is Mad Speed. Midway through the paddock turn the first time, Limbo Joe has the lead. Holy Arnie at the rail. ARMBRO Crouch looking for a tuck 3rd. Why Not is at the rail 4th quarter time, 29 seconds flat. Coming by the stands the first time, Limbo Joe and Jerry Prosino showing the way a length and a half. Holy Arnie is 2nd. Why Not the rail 3rd. ARMBRO Crouch the outside 4th. Desert Ruler hugs the rail 5th. Now picking up the cover 6th. That is Gallant Pro. GIORGIO D going with him. Mad Speed saving ground is trailing the field. Heading toward the half, Limbo Joe, little more than a length. Holy Arnie now pulls first over, 2nd the inside. Why Not 3rd. ARMBRO Crouch 4th. They check in at the half, 59 seconds flat. Off the turn and down the backstretch the final time. Limbo Joe cutting it out a length. Holy Arnie stalking the leader second. ARMBRO Crouch the outside third is going a tough mile. Why Not shoots the gap at the rail. Fourth, Desert Ruler the inside fifth. Gallant Pro the outside sixth, followed by Mad Speed. GIORGIO D has the best view. Heading toward the three-quarter pole, Limbo Joe's been there all the way. Holy Arnie the outside, Why Not third, three quarters, 1:28 and 1/5, third quarter, 29 and 1. And now they move it to the final turn. Holy Arnie the outside along the rail, Limbo Joe. Why Not right there, third, Desert Ruler fourth, Gallant Pro is fifth. He's got a long way to go. Top of the stretch, they turn for home. Holy Arnie now takes the lead for Bill Houghton. Why Not the outside, Limbo Joe the rail, Gallant Pro, and GIORGIO D. Holy Arnie, Gallant Pro, GIORGIO D is flying on the outside, but Holy Arnie is going to win it all. A mile in 1:58 and 4/5. Sharon, back to you.
Well, Gary, very impressive victory by Holy Arnie the first half of the entry, and a very good performance by the second half of the entry, Gallant Pro as well. Holy Arnie the winner, $320, $260, $3. GIORGIO D $480, $360. Gallant Pro $3 to show. Why Not the other qualifier. The winning driver, winning traver, Bill Houghton. Here's Kenny Rice.
Bill Houghton, congratulations on the win in this first division. Now, how did Holy Arnie come out of that, and is he ready for this third race tonight, the championship race?
Yeah, he seemed fine when he got back to the paddock, and he should wait for the next one.
Around the half mile, he started making a challenge, but he laid back just a little bit. Looked like he was strong at the finish.
Yeah, he was. He didn't have a lot of trot left, but he was in no trouble at any time.
How has he been as far as being able to come back and race twice in a day?
It's the first time he's ever going to try it.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I've never had any problem with any horse before. So
Bill,
I think you'll do it fine.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Billy Houghton, winning driver in the first division tonight with Holy Arnie.
Well, Kenny, we'll see how he does in the final, but in the meantime, the second elimination is just ahead. We'll take a timeout and then be back with the horses for the second elimination heat. Welcome back to Pompano Park, where a big crowd has turned out for the final event in the Breeders' Crown Series, the 3-year-old Colt Trot. We've already seen the first heat, Holy Arnie, an impressive winner. The second elimination has also been held, so it's time to look at the horses in that one.
9 colts in this second elimination heat for the Breeders' Crown 3-year-old Colt Trot.
In fact, it's a very, very good field. You hate to single out any because virtually anybody here could win, but let's look at some of the possibilities. Number 4 is Sandy Bull. Interesting driver change on this colt.
Yes, he's been campaigned by the Nordine stable all season long. Both Soren Nordine and John Nordine have been driving him. He gets the services tonight of Bill O'Donnell, the nation's leading driver, and that fact hasn't been overlooked by the wagering public at this point.
Yeah, that doesn't move a horse back when they get Bill O'Donnell to drive him. So Sandy Bull, who has got quite a record on his own, also gets the advantage of the top driver in the country. Also getting some support, and rightly so, is the number 5 horse, Baltic Speed. Now this is the other horse trained by Soren Nordine, and Jan is driving this one.
This is the top money-winning horse in the race, $800,000 lifetime, and if he should win this race tonight, he'd become the richest 3-year-old trotter of all time with over $1 million. Only Joie de Vie has been able to accomplish that in one season. This is the horse who won the Yonkers Trot, was a disappointment in the Hambletonian, and bounced back to win the World Trotting Derby in very impressive fashion.
So he's certainly getting some support, and rightly so. 6 horse, interesting situation here with this one. Crowning Point, obviously a horse with a great deal of talent, but boy, does he have trouble staying flat in his races.
Well, he's been bothered by a quarter crack, and the quarter crack is such a painful injury to a horse, particularly one like this, which is right up in his coronet band, and the racetrack just stings him. Every time he sets his foot down, the racetrack just stings him and pains him, and he's been unable to stay on stride. He has had 4 qualifying efforts here, and only one of them, the last one, did he stay on stride the whole mile.
And it was a good qualifying effort, though, so maybe they've solved his hoof problems, and maybe he'll be in form here for this one. Let's take a look at the odds now. No real surprises, except maybe some longer shots than we might have expected on some of them. Garland LOBELL, a lot of people giving him support, even though Fancy Crown the filly embarrassed him in her race last week, really. Yes,
he had some problems in that race. He was impeded after the half, but still got up to be second. But he was beaten 5 lengths, and his last quarter was in 30 4/5 or something. So I think he'll be forwardly placed in the race and has a chance to hit the board.
Bandolino at 9-1, interesting one from the Houghton stable. They've already got 2 into the final, so this one is coming off a lot of wins, although he has not been one of the more highly regarded members of their stable.
Yeah, number 9, Bandolino, he's coming into the race off of 4 consecutive victories, 2 of them in B2 trotting class at Roosevelt. Prior to that, he won a New Jersey sire stake.
And of course, Speed Merchant has done some big winning this year. Delvin G. Hanover, so good in the Hambletonian. A good field in the second elimination heat. Remember, 4 will go on to the final, so they'd like to win because there is purse money involved, but especially they'd like to finish in the first 4. So the horses are lining up now behind the gate, and we've got a few stragglers that'll have to get up there, but they got a little ways to go. And as they line up, let's go to track announcer Gary Seibel.
Speed Merchant, Delvin G. Hanover, and Bandolino. Thank you very much, Sharon. His second elimination division just about set to go. This field is in motion. And of course, the top 4 finishers from each heat will come back for the final. This is the second heat. They went 58-4 in the first. Let's see how they do here. They're off and trotting in between horses. Sandy Bull going for the lead. Restless Spirit was briefly off stride. Moving up the outside to be second is Crowning Point. Right there, third on the inside and going up is Garland Lobell. Artificial Bait gets away fourth. Speed Merchant on the outside fifth. Restless Spirit back on the trot is sixth. Followed right there by Bandolino with Baltic Speed and Delvin G. Hanover. They race around the first turn. Garland Lobell at the rail. Crowning Point on the outside. The inside Sandy Bull third. Quarter time 30 seconds flat. Coming by the stands the first time, Crowning Point on the outside, sticks ahead in front for Doug Ackerman, the rail, keeping them parked out. That's Garland Lobell. Speed Merchant right there, third along the rail. Sandy Bull fourth, the back of the pack. Artificial Bait is off stride. Racing in fifth, now a closer fifth, the outside is Baltic Speed, followed by Restless Spirit, Delvin G. Hanover, Bandolino far back. Artificial Bait is still off stride. There by the half, 58 3/5, second quarter, 28 3. Now they're on to the backstretch. It's still a pair on the front end. Crowning Point the outside. Garland Lobell the rail. Now the outside third. That is Speed Merchant. Sandy Bull the rail. Fourth. Baltic Speed the outside fifth. Bandolino looking to go 3 wide sixth. Followed by Restless Spirit. Delvin G. Hanover in between horses. Far back. Artificial Bait. Heading toward the 3/4 pole. Garland Lobell hanging tough at the rail. Crowning Point still living on the outside. 3/4, 128 flat. Third quarter, 29 2. And now they round the final turn. It's Garland Lobell. He's hanging tough. Crowning Point the outside. Baltic Speed is 3 wide and on the move. They're at the top of the stretch. They turn for home. Garland Lobell put to the test as he digs in at the rail. Baltic Speed now sweeping by the leaders. It's Baltic Speed for John Nordine over Garland Lobell. Sandy Bull with a late rush, but Baltic Speed is going to win it all.
Well, we saw the entry of Baltic Speed and Sandy Lobell doing extremely well for the Nordines, but Baltic Speed, who we assumed was the lesser half of the entry, proved not to be at the wire. Dramatic end to this race. Let's take a look now at the final furlong of this race.
Well, they had a very tough battle up on the front end, and Garland Lobell was spent. Here's Baltic Speed rushing up on the outside for John Nordine, and this horse has enough class he just gets home on class and guts here. Very good effort.
And he certainly was an impressive winner. Baltic Speed, the winner of the second elimination for driver Jan Nordine, Soren Nordine train. Garland Lobell did hold on for second place, with Sandy Bull finishing third. Delvin G. Hanover also qualifying with his fourth place finish. So the field of 8 is set for the final. The 3-year-old Colt Trot of the Breeders' Crown Series will take a timeout and then be back with a close parade. It is the final event in the 1984 Breeders' Crown Series, race number 8 of 8, the 3-year-old Colt Trot. It is at Pompano Park in Florida. Big crowd and warm weather and clearing skies are getting a chance now to see the final of this good race, and some very, very good young colts here. 3-year-old Colt Trotters. Let's take a look now at the field for the final race. Now, let us take a look. We're looking actually here at number 1A. We do have an entry of 1 and 1A. What an entry it is. Wouldn't mind betting on this one. Holy Arnie and Gallant Pro. Let's take a look at Holy Arnie. Now, this is Bill Houghton, the man who decides who drives, driving this one.
Yeah, Holy Arnie was more manageable and safer in his elimination win tonight than he's been in his whole career. I think they've really found the problem with this horse, whatever it's been. He looked the safest kind of winner. Giorgio D raced very, very good at him late, but he had a big margin.
He is bred by Castleton Farm. We mentioned earlier, Lou Gaida, Ira Lampert, and John Rizzo are the owners. 1A, Gallant Pro. Now, Bill Houghton owns a piece of this horse as well, so he put his son on him, so interesting situation here.
Yes, he raced very good in his elimination. A little short finishing, which has been, you know, the trademark of his career, but he's a horse, if things break right, if the pace is really quick on the front end, he's a horse who could be there on the end of this race.
And Baltic Speed also here. Baltic Speed will be the one to challenge, I would think, the entry of 1 and 1A, Holy Arnie and Gallant Pro, as we look at Tommy. Tommy, of course, put on the horse. Remember, Bill O'Donnell drove Sandy Ball in the second elimination, has chosen to go with Sandy Ball, so Tommy is driving. This is the number 2 horse, Baltic Speed. This one owned by Baltic Farm. It's Swedish owned and trained and driven, because Jan is driving this one. Yeah,
Baltic Speed seems to bounce back off of these layoffs in incredible style. He won a very bad race in the Hambletonian and in the Springfield in those races, then bounced back here tonight to go a real big effort.
And another good effort by Garland Lobell. Everybody was impressed, I think, by him. Garland Lobell is bred by Alana Lobell. The Sacco Stables of Montreal, Quebec own this colt.
He's a front runner. He parked Crowning Point in that elimination and ran him down, and just couldn't hold off Baltic Speed's closing kick. But he's a very fast horse. Set a stake record in winning the Kentucky Futurity in his elimination. He's a horse that can't be overlooked in this race.
And he too is wearing those earmuffs, so apparently he gets a little upset by the noise. So we'll see if that quiets him down. Giorgio D. Now, this is a horse that we thought looked a little stiff warming up. Sure didn't look like a stiff horse finishing that first elimination.
Yeah, he was the last horse coming for home and got by everybody except Holy Arnie. Warming up, he looked just like he looks right now. He looked a little bit sore, and his form has to be questioned, but he certainly raced good in the first heat.
And he's owned by DeLallo Farms of Pennsylvania and another Lana Lobell bred, Speedy Samoli, another descendant of Speedy Scott. The number 5 horse is Sandy Bowl. And interesting situation with Sandy Bowl. The driver change, well, he went a good mile in his first elimination.
Yeah, he didn't get loose until late. Of interest in his pedigree, his mother was a pacing bred mare sired by Overtrick, who was a pacing stallion that stood at Lana Lobell Farms. Even though she was bred to pace, she trotted and won over $100,000 and was really a high-class mare. And then when bred to Super Bowl, this is the resultant offspring, and he too is a real nice horse.
And the proud owners of Sandy Ball, KVF Stables of Deerfield Beach. The number 6 horse now, this is Delvin G. Hanover.
Delvin went a real safe trip the first time. This is a consistent horse. He's a heat winner in the Hambletonian, which is his only claim to fame this year. He's been poorly placed. Current odds 25-1. That winning time 156-2, taken winning a heat of the Hambletonian.
And Delvin G, Swedish owned and trained. Kurt Bertmark of Sweden, the owner, and Hakan Wallner, the driver of this one. So Delvin G, good race for him. He generally can manage a good elimination. We'll see if he can manage a second. Continuing on with the rest of these colts in this race, as we look at Delvin G. Hanover, the number 7 colt is Why Not? You know, I think a lot of people have a little soft spot in their heart for this little guy. A Speedy Crown colt owned by Sunbird Stable. Not a big colt. Mickey McNichol handles him beautifully, but he sure does try.
Yeah, he's probably won more money per pound than any racehorse in America. He can't weigh but 700 or 800 pounds, but he's all trotter. And he really went a much better race in the first elimination than he had gone in his previous 2 starts. And this horse would never be a surprise in anybody's winner's circle. Winner of almost $750,000 lifetime.
Well, sure is a cute little guy. His head is bigger than his neck, it looks like. That is the field for the 3-year-old Colt Trot, the last event in the Breeders' Crown. A good field with plenty of depth. We'll take a timeout and then be back with the final race. Back at Pompano Park in Florida, we are just about a minute away from post time for the final event of the Breeders' Crown Series, the 3-year-old Colt Trot. And the favorite, apparently, of the crowd here tonight, well, pretty close between the 1 and the 2. Holy Arnie among the favorites. He's coming off a track record at this track. Yeah,
this horse has only been beaten once on this racetrack, and he made a break in that. He's the 2-year-old track record holder and the 3-year-old track record holder. And it was as safe and manageable in his earlier elimination win than any time I've ever seen him. Otherwise, he's been a real head case most of the season. He's used up a lifetime of frustration for his owners because he has such great ability. It looked to me in that first heat tonight that he was the safest kind of winner.
And he uses just about every kind of equipment on the head that can keep a horse controlled. But they apparently have found the key to this horse, certainly in the last few weeks. So Holy Arnie coming off an impressive first elimination. And among the favorites, Gallant Pro, he's part of the entry, so he is among the favorites as well, which he would be because he was outstanding. He has the gating poles, holding that head straight, and what does he have his head up? But it too works, coming off a great race.
Yes, he'd be a surprise, I think, in this race tonight, and I think that's the reason that you know, Tommy's on him, and O'Donnell chose to stay with Sandy Bull.
And Baltic Speed, talk about an impressive performance in an earlier elimination. Also, we have to look at this as a horse who likes elimination racing.
Yes, he gets stronger as the day goes on. At DuQuoin in the 3-heat World Trotting Derby, he just kept getting better as the day went on. And we said if he wins this race tonight, he becomes a millionaire and the richest 3-year-old trotting colt in history.
Well, he's the one that the crowd here likes, and they are getting up behind the gate. Holy Arnie is being held back a little bit. That happened in the earlier race as well, but he looks like he's handling the gate pretty well. The horses are lining up behind the gate. We are moments away from post time. Let's go now to Gary Seibel.
Thank you very much, Sharon. This field is in motion. And now they straighten out onto the backstretch, looking for a good start. 58-4, first elimination, 58-2, the second. Let's look for better here. There they go. They're off and trotting in between horses. Sandy Bull rushes out for the lead. Holy Arnie the inside. Baltic Speed gets away third. Settling in fourth is Garland, Lobell, Giorgio D right there fifth. Gallant Pro racing sixth, followed by Delvin G. Hanover and the early trailer, Why Not? And as they move into the first turn, it's now Holy Arnie drawing off a length and a half. Settling in second is Sandy Bull, Baltic Speed right there third. Garland, Lobell is fourth and fifth. Giorgio D. Quarter time, 29 2/5. Coming by the stands the first time, Bill Houghton has Holy Arnie rolling along in the front end lane. Right there, second, that is Sandy Bull, a length and a half back. Baltic Speed, third. Garland Lobell is fourth. Giorgio D, fifth. Delvin G. Hanover now shooting the gap at the rail, sixth. Why Not going with him, seventh. Gallant Pro is eighth and last. Heading toward the half, Holy Arnie controls the racetrack a length. Sandy Bull is in the pocket second. Baltic Speed now moving up third. They're by the half, 59 3/5. And now they straighten out for the trot down the backstretch. Holy Arnie is cutting it out. He's on the engine a length. Baltic Speed on the outside is moving up. Sandy Bull the rail third. Garland Lobell the outside fourth. Delvin G. Hanover fifth. Racing sixth is Why Not, followed by Giorgio D. and Gallant Pro. And as they head toward the three-quarter pole, still Holy Arnie in command. Baltic Speed is right out on the outside. Sandy Bull third. Three quarters, 1:28 1/5. Third quarter is 28 3. And now they move around the final turn in the final mile in the Breeders' Crown. And it comes down to this. Holy Arnie digs in at the rail. Baltic Speed is out on the outside. Sandy Bull looking to shake loose, followed by Garland Lobell and Giorgio D. They're in the stretch. Baltic Speed takes the lead. Holy Arnie the rail, the outside. Here comes Giorgio D, followed by Sandy Bull. Baltic Speed is going to win it all.
Well, Baltic Speed waited just long enough. Jan Nordin, I guess, knew exactly what to do when he could take care of Holy Arnie, and he did it.
Yes, he sat on the outside of this horse from the half mile on, made his move from third along the rail, came into contention and just wore him down.
Well, let's take a look again at how he did it. He did it in not the easiest kind of way, but a very professional way. Got the lead and kept it.
Yeah, Baltic Speed is a real class horse. He shows me here tonight that he's got some real class and ability, and of course under a very aggressive drive from Nordin here. And this is the only horse in the field, by the way, pulling a conventional sulky. Sandy Bull makes a good late rush, and here comes Giorgio D again. but always a step away. Baltic Speed wins by a long neck.
Well, he was the winner, and the time, by the way, 1:57.2, a track record for 3-year-old Colt, and in fact took 2/5 off of Fancy Crown's all-age sex track record here at Pompano. So another track record that we have seen in this Breeders' Crown Series, and a very impressive performance by Baltic Speed. Baltic Speed, a son of Speedy Somali, owned by Baltic Farm. Jan Nordin drives, Soren Nordin trains. So the Swedish combination, the winners of the 3-year-old Colt Trot of the Breeders' Crown. So a very exciting finish, outstanding time, and a good performance by Baltic Speed, who perhaps now can be considered the leader of the division.
Well, I don't think there's any question he was the leader of the division coming into the race with 800,000, and this one, as we said, puts him well over $1 million. And you know, if you throw out the bad race he went into Hambletonian, he won the Yonkers Trot, he won the World Trotting Derby. It was a disappointment in Kentucky, but now bounces back here with a really high-quality performance to be uncovered from the half-mile mall, and just keep right on coming to win in 1:57.2, which lowers the track record by almost a full second. To a real high-quality performance.
And he loves this heat race. And good performance by Baltic Speed. We're going to take another time out, then be back to enjoy some of the victory celebrations here at Pompano Park. The star of Pompano Park tonight is certainly Baltic Speed, the winner of the 3-year-old Colt Trot. You'll get to see a look at him on down the stretch next week. A big victory tonight for Team Nordin, with Baltic Speed the winner, Sandy Bowl second, Jan Nordin the winning driver, Soren Nordin the winning trainer, also the trainer of the second place horse. Kenny Rice is in the winner's circle, getting to enjoy some of the celebrations, and here's Kenny.
Thank you very much, Sharon. I'm with part of Team Nordin. Jan, congratulations on the win. A very strong effort tonight for Baltic Speed, winning the first, coming back here tonight and winning the championship.
Yeah, it was really strong of him, and I was very proud of the horse. It was his last race for this season, and he's been doing a couple of mistakes, but this time it was really game again. I'm very happy.
You said you had to have a lot of horse in that second race, and you did tonight.
Yeah, as it has shown earlier, this horse gets stronger for each heat he goes the same day. Like in the World Trotting Derby, he was at his strongest the third trail. So, you know, he really likes it.
Let's take a look now at the way the race was shaping up. And when Baltic Speed, who was so strong tonight, makes his move, were you a little surprised by the record that you're able to set tonight? Did you think you'd be able to come back that strong?
No, not really, since I had to go on the outside for such a long time. You know, I had hoped to be able to be tucked down third until at least in the middle of the second turn here, but I had to go a little earlier.
And you're making a strong charge here at the end with Holy Arnie.
Yep, that's right. And Holy Arnie was down at, you know, pretty early at the end stretch there. He was tired when he came into the end stretch, and he held on a little longer. But I was really afraid of Sandy. He had, you know, an easy trip, really easy trip. He almost got out between me and Holy Arnie.
Congratulations again. Jan Nordin, the winning driver tonight. Baltic Speed sets a course record here. Now back to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Kenny. There was a photo finish. We did know who won. Well, we now know who finished first, second, and third. And guess what? The third place finisher, GIORGIO D, also trained by Soren Nordin, who is undoubtedly a very happy man tonight. Here is the photo for win. And Baltic Speed gets the win over stablemate Sandy Bowl. And back a little bit is GIORGIO D, who got third place. So what a night for Team Nordin. There it is, Baltic Speed, $483, $320, Sandy Bowl, $360 and $440, and GIORGIO D with his show position of $460 to show. Could have made a lot of money on Team Nordin tonight, even though there were no long shots among them. There's a little bit more to come from Pompano Park. We're going to take a timeout and then be back to wrap up the Breeders' Crown 1984. First, a timeout. Welcome back to Pompano Park. I'm Sharon Smith along with Kurt Green and Kenny Rice, and that is it for the Breeders' Crown. We have seen the final race, the 3-year-old Colt Trot, the winner Baltic Speed, and one of the series, in fact most of our series, have provided a champion in their division, a horse of the year in the particular division. We have seen one here, and Kurt, what's your assessment of the whole Breeders' Crown for the year? You run one of the tracks which hosted one of the races.
Well, I think it's an unqualified success. I think right from the first race in Lexington, that was our pleasure to host, where Workaholic won, right down to this one. I think we've seen a level and a quality of performance throughout the whole series that really is far above the expectation that we could have had for it. I think when this thing first got on the drawing board a couple of years ago, we all got together with Mr. Van Lennep and got behind it while the thoroughbreds were doing the same thing with the Breeders' Cup. I think this concept is so enlightened that I think it's one of the great things to happen in racing in recent times. I think it'll revolutionize us, and I think that, you know, the quality of performance we saw here, the Fancy Crown effort at Rosecroft, Dragon's Lair's world record, which was an historic, one of the most historic races in the history of this breed, right through Troublemaker and Conifer and Workaholic. We've seen 5 or 6 track records out of this series and a couple of world records. And this mile, in fact, equals the world record for a 3-year-old trotter on a 5/8 mile track, which was held by Arnie. So, you know, quality, top quality performance is what the series is all about, and that's what we've seen.
And although it's not always the favorite winning, we haven't seen a bad horse win once this year, which is pretty good.
No, there hasn't been a horse that you just consider a total, absolute freak long shot. All of the horses have been contending horses. Conifer, of course, who upset Davidia Hanover, is a real good filly, a world champion in her own right on a half-mile track. Troublemaker is great and is going into stud at Castleton Farm.
Well, a lot of people were involved in making the Breeders' Crown work. Kenny Rice is down in the winner's circle, and here's Kenny.
Thank you, Sharon. With me, the executive director of this Breeders' Crown Series, Tom Trotters. Tom, we started this October 5th at the Red Mile in Lexington for the 2-year-olds. Wrapping it up here tonight, it has been a great series.
What a great series. We had great racing. I think we had 5 divisional champions we showed the folks. I think we've shown them a horse in the year in Fancy Crown. It's just been super. It's better than we ever expected, I think.
And also expansion plan for next year when the aged trotters and pacers get involved.
We had an age trot, an age pace. You'll get to see the free-for-all stars across North America. I think it'll really complement the program.
Looking back on it all, some classic races too, I think we can also say, when you think back to especially Annihilator and Dragon's Lair matchup.
Well, that was, I think, the greatest race of the year, that first elimination heat this year. Jeff will forgive me, he'll say the second heat was, but this race here tonight was a super confrontation. And we saw a horse who was 2-year-old trotter of the year, in some question, in some people's minds, come back and prove he's the best 3-year-old trotter in the country. He's earned well over $1 million, I think about $1,200,000. I don't think anybody will dispute it this year.
Tom Charters, been a pleasure working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenny.
Tom Charters, the executive director of this Breeders' Crown Series. Sharon?
One more winner, Michael Kolesa of Chicago, the grand prize winner of the Breeders' Crown Sweepstakes, made his entry at Maywood Park in Chicago. So that is it for Breeders' Crown 1984. 8 races, 8 tracks, 8 superb winners. Breeders' Crown has been brought to you by hard-working Chevy trucks. Nothing works like a Chevy truck. And by John Henry, the fitted shirt. What a nice way to reward yourself for staying in shape. And by First Jersey Securities. Come grow with us.